Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are coming on to share their insights and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses scale through using outside-the-box visibility strategy. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. My guests and I are thrilled to have you. And please stay to the end because we have a special gift for you. But without further ado, I want to dive in with my guest today, Drew Chambers with Harper. So welcome, Drew, to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to chat with you today. Drew, can you kick us off by telling us a little bit about you, Harper, and your role within it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Harper is it's been around for 8 years. It's a cloud application platform really focused on performance. So for the largest companies in the world that are trying to build the most latency sensitive performant applications, Harper is a platform that they built those on. I am the EVP of Marketing. So I act as our CMO and lead our marketing strategy, our go-to-market, our content creation, our paid media, all those things, which is really fun. My background is in marketing for the better part of 2 decades. I ran an agency for a while, which was acquired by another agency. And so I've kind of seen both sides of the coin, as it were, for working in-house and working on the agency side. And I'm really excited by how the space continues to develop and certainly how the technology continues to develop. So excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing all that. So Drew, how does Harper differentiate itself from web architecture and cloud platforms when it comes to performance, scalability, and developer experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, traditional web architectures have evolved over, the entirety of the internet being in existence. But for, large scale companies that make money online, so figure, e-commerce retailers, booking sites, streamers, that sort of thing, latency is sort of the thing that they've always been trying to fix, right? So traditional architecture, you have database layers, you have messaging layers, you have caching layers, application layers, you have all these disparate pieces, and those all need to talk to each other, right? And they need to talk to each other across the globe to where your users are. And what you're trying to do is develop as seamless an experience as possible for those end users. And so trying to bring latency down as much as possible is the name of the game. And what Harper is a sort of a new paradigm shift in the way that architecture can look, in which we've really fused various elements of your traditional architecture. So database, messaging, caching, application, all those layers into one in-memory process. So what could take several hundred milliseconds or even seconds in the past can take a millisecond in Harper. And so it really is like a pretty seismic performance shift for the companies that we speak to.
Wow. So for customers scaling their apps and workloads, what are the most critical pain points in infrastructure, and how does Harper solve them?
Yeah, another great question. I think there's several, and we would say we're an engineering first company. And so, engineers and architects and developers face very unique problems, right? In terms of just like ease of use of the various platforms and languages that they need to work with, to how to deploy various elements of their stack and application layers. So what Harper tries to do is make all of that as seamless as possible, where it's a Node.js based code. It's a very easy to deploy application layer. You can deploy at the edge, you can deploy at core, you can deploy on bare metal and whatnot. So it's very much, I would say, cloud first, but you can deploy anywhere you want. So we really try to remove a lot of the roadblocks that come with traditional challenges of development. Additionally, as I mentioned before, there's sort of like SSL handshakes. There's, serialization, deserialization that happens between various geographic nodes of your infrastructure. And we do remove all of that just fundamentally with the way that we're structured. So all those pieces, I think, combine together and create a much more scalable, much easier to use, and much more streamlined infrastructure for customers.
So how are you all helping teams move faster and avoid common bottlenecks like performance timing, schema changes, or ops overhead?
Yeah, another great question. I would say it becomes easier for the teams that build on Harper to essentially share their work with each other. So we are, and I'll sort of take the marketing angle here because that's what I know better than the engineering side. But like we really do encourage our customers and the engineers that build on Harper to share what they are building with others so that there's a little bit, this isn't like a black box of solutions. We have an entire library of open source applications that have been built that can be shared and use those as starting points. So you don't have to like keep making the same mistakes over again. You don't have to make the mistakes that we've made, but then you can also find opportunities for new use cases that we haven't even thought about. And so I think like it's empowering teams to work together, to build, to be creative. And that, again, from my perspective, that accelerates the process of adoption and usage and can remove, what you typically would see as bottlenecks of people trying to like fit within an existing architecture, existing structure, existing problems.
Awesome. So can we talk about onboarding? What does the onboarding process look like, say, for teams moving from legacy databases or to Harper? And how do you make that transition smooth and low risk?
Yeah. Yeah. So, in infrastructure technology, there's usually like a little bit of a challenge and I don't know if you've talked with many infrastructure technology companies in the past, but it's generally a very long sales cycle. There's generally like a bit of a fear because essentially that ultimately comes down to is like, are we ripping, they say rip and replace. Are we taking out everything that we've already built and are we having to replace it with something new? Think of, nobody wants to replace all the plumbing in their house, right? Like that
Yeah,
is not a fun project that you want to
not at all.
necessarily take on. And generally you will only do so if you have to for some major, major reason. And so where we've kind of taken a different approach is that, again, because we're not just a database, because we're not, filling in on what you might consider like point solutions, we can very easily start to test out the Harper platform on very specific use cases that might be tangential or connected to things that you might be working on. So, an example of this is that we work with several teams that they want to start adopting what's called early hints as a way to provide a more performant experience for customers, but also for the bots that crawl their site for SEO purposes and paid media purposes. And early hints doesn't necessarily need to operate in the same space as all this other architecture. You theoretically could deploy Harper at the edge with early hints, and you could do this side by side with everything that you're currently running your website on. And you'd be able to see in sort of like a real experience what Harper looks like compared to your legacy products. And so the nice thing there is like that's a little bit more of an easy onboard and easy install. It's something that we can get up and running very, very quickly. We can deploy, in a matter of days, and then you can test it out very quickly and see the results within a matter of days. Again, you're not, pulling out all the copper piping in your house and instead you're just sort of looking at it within a new line that you've installed within your house. And then you can make the determination, well, okay, then we'll start doing the main bath and the kitchen and you can kind of go that way. So that's been really nice. I would also say, and sorry for the lengthy answer, but like we've also
Fantastic.
done a lot of work on sort of like play with it on your own. We have what's called Harper Studio. You can go in, you can set up your own instance on your local computer and you can just play around with it and start to get used to it. So again, you're not having to like take this massive leap of faith into replacing your entire infrastructure.
No, it's fantastic that you have it streamlined and it's so supportive. How are y'all supporting AI, or how does Harper support AI and analytics workloads at scale? Are you seeing customers leverage Harper for machine learning use cases or real-time data processing?
Yeah, great question. AI is obviously changing by the day. But AI is actually an incredible use case for Harper for a couple of reasons. One, I'll take the step back. So a lot of our customers our big customers are, as I mentioned, e-commerce and digital commerce companies, right? So they are every single day thinking about like, okay, I need to sell more shirts online. I need to sell more pants, shoes, whatever it is. And to do that, it is widely understood that you want to have the most personalized experience possible, right? So I know that Drew's in the market for a new pair of shoes and he likes, Nikes with a blue swoosh. Like I want the landing page experience for Drew to be like that pair of shoes, and I want him to be able to add to cart and click out within, a matter of seconds and not, give him time to think about whether he needs another pair of sneakers. But that landing page, I needed to speak to him like, hey, these are going to make you faster or look cooler or whatever it is. And that is a really interesting application of AI in our world is how can we use AI? Because we've all seen the power of how it can customize an experience. How can we use that to create landing page experiences for customers, so end users of these e-commerce websites that speak directly to their needs based on similar to those Instagram ads that you're receiving that speak to your browsing history and whatnot. And the real challenge here has been that AI is, while it's super powerful, it's very slow, right? Like I can't wait 15 seconds for a website to render and pull in AI LLM information to then speak to me. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to have gone to your competition. And so where Harper and AI can really fit in is a couple of ways. One, by caching some of those like persona AI developed landing pages, your team can develop, hundreds and thousands of different variants of your landing page experience and then cache them and serve them to the personas that make the most sense. So they're having like a real-time experience, but they're still getting that personalization that can ultimately move them through the conversion funnel. Um, Harper also I don't know when this is going to air, but we are in the midst of launching 4.6, which includes a vector database, which includes semantic searching and semantic caching, which again gives you the ability to, rather than, when I type into the search box, sneakers, just giving me everything, it's going to give me potentially, the most relevant semantic search results based on other users' behavior, based on behavior of how we've trained the system. So you can start to really leverage that as well from a site search perspective. And those are two very, very near-term opportunities on the AI front for Harper, but there's tons of other ones. There's, the agentic side of things of using an AI agent to build applications with Harper, and the list goes on and on.
We have a lot coming, which is very exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so cool. Well, I'd love to talk growth with you because you run marketing, you handle all of that, so this conversation I'm really excited about. I'd love to learn more about you, Harper, and as far as like for those listening, who's the ideal client profile for you? Who is the person or the company that could best be served by you? And how are you getting in front of them? How are you staying visible? Because it's crowded out there, especially in the AI space these days, because as you said, things are changing and you've been in business 8 years.
Yeah.
And so before AI was like what it is now, and before it's the buzzword that it hit about a year ago. And now I was seeing like everybody is talking AI or wanting to be in AI. So how did you do it? And how are you still doing it as far as like staying in front of your people as a leader in this space, to your ICPs?
Yeah. So, in answer to the first part, so our ICP is generally, we would consider senior management of engineering teams. So web performance, technical SEO, those can flow into, a variety of different areas depending on the organization. But, they are then reporting into, CMO, CFO, CTO type of positions, but it's generally like I would say, they're a very seasoned engineer. They themselves code, they themselves are very, very technical. And then they have a team of people reporting into them that are, again, responsible for making their websites faster, making, things run smoothly, growing their footprint. So, geographically, there's distribution around the globe for their company. So to talk to this group, they're not all that interested in marketing fluff. We don't do a whole lot of kind of like outlandish claims or anything like that. We really do try to lead from a place of content development, thought leadership, community engagement. So we have, I'm very fortunate. I have a great team of people who, every day are saying like, what are the interesting things that people are talking about in our space? How can we introduce our way of thinking? And again, these individuals that are customers are very smart. They can then see that and say, oh, that aligns with the way that I see the world, the way that I think about things. And so, when we do run paid media or when we do events or webinars or those sorts of things, again, it's really leading from a place of like, let's solve a problem. Let's show you how we think about solutions. It's not, hey, come do a demo, 7 days, you're gonna love it, and what you would consider sort of the more traditional like PLG motion. Now, I think we could get there. There's a couple of things happening for the company that I think could get us to much closer. But for right now, we're focused more on like, what I would consider like community-led growth or community-led engagement, where we are helping them, educating them, getting them started on the Harper platform, and then letting them sort of grow and build and kick ideas around and things like that. And so our paid media really just informs that. So it's inviting people to webinars and events. It's pushing out content and blogs that we've written that speak to the questions that we've heard, video series, a lot of podcasting and things like that, and very little in the way of what you might consider like traditional PPC type work. I would say the thing that we've seen certainly in the age of AI is like email is become less of an engine for us. These individuals just get hammered with emails day in and day out. Everybody is using some AI agent now, and so these emails are personalized, and I'm sure you and all of your listeners get them every day where it's like, well, did I actually meet this person? Is this a real person? I don't like, what is going on here? And so we've really tried to step away from that and move more towards like the kind of the old school, like here's our newsletter and here's the things that we're talking about. Here are the events that are coming up, and please like, self-select into the thing that makes the most sense. And then from there, we can get really, really specific on your use case and the opportunities, and you're just going to enjoy it. It aligns with the thing that you like doing, which is building, trying something new. We're not going to force the issue and build that community up.
Amazing. So let's talk about challenges and growth. You've been around 8 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been some ups and downs along the way and some challenges to navigate. So what challenges has Harper experienced, and how did you all overcome them?
Yeah, well, I think, like many startups, the company today is vastly different than when it started. I think like, as just like a main point of call out, we are now Harper. We used to be Harper DB. We found that was confusing to a lot of our customers because they were like, oh, okay, you're a database. I'm going to go look at you against a bunch of other databases. And while we can do, and we have a database, we're not the same as the other databases out there. And so that was actually causing a lot of friction in the sales process because it was, again, I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with this, but if you're having to like walk somebody back from their preconceived notions to explain the different, now you've sort of lost the thread at the beginning of the meeting. You want to be able to very quickly be like, here's what we are, here's where we fit, and here's the challenge that we solve. So we've really had to work on our messaging and our approach. I think another thing that was a challenge for us is the fact that because we're a platform, because we have this really powerful tool, there's a lot that you can do with it. And if you can do everything, one, people then they start to not believe you, and then two, you just sort of lose the forest for the trees. So really needing to shrink that field of vision down to focus on the thing that we really are better than the competition at. And there are other competitors that are sort of this like what you would consider a fused stack of infrastructure. Where we are is that maniacal focus on performance. And as soon as we started kind of driving everything through the lens of performance and trying to, have our sales enablement materials and our marketing materials really talk about performance, that was extremely helpful for us. That was a big unlock. And today, like there's a tool on our website where you can go and you can put in, your website, your domain, and see, the current performance based on Core Web Vitals, which is something that Google monitors and shares, and it's a major part of SEO. You can see what that looks like today, and then you could see what that performance would look like with Harper. And so like being able to, drive everything through that and use data to our advantage has been helpful. But, we continue to grow and learn. Thing that I say with our team and an old business partner had shared with me, which is fail fast. So learn, don't be so set in your ways that you're not open to the potential that something is incorrect. And if it is, adjust accordingly and move quickly. And that has served us well.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Absolutely. So question for you, Drew. What's next for Harper? I know you shared a little bit about what's coming on the horizon, but what's the North Star for, say, the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, so we did our Series A last year. So I would imagine that there's, there will probably be some additional funding or a raise in that time period. But I think for us, really the big thing that's coming is the launch of what we're calling Fabric, which is essentially a way to deploy the applications and componentry that you've built on Harper with the click of a button. You can essentially say, how many nodes, how many locations, how many regions you need to be in, how many requests per second you're anticipating that the system will need to handle, and you can deploy that at the push of a button. And that is really going to be very cool for us because to date we do that, but it's really done on the back end, whereas this will allow the customer to, essentially they could go from start to finish all on their own without having to work with Harper. And not that that's what we necessarily want, but certainly having that, that ease of getting started is a massive help for us. And as we continue to think about the community, it makes it so that, again, more and more people can play with this and get it out there, and see the power of the platform. So that's a big one on the horizon. And we have a number of conferences and events that we are going to be doing. We're really starting to accelerate that motion. So yeah, it's a fun time at the company. We're in growth mode. We've hired a bunch of people. We have open positions. Anybody listening that's a sales engineer, a solutions architect, those are roles that we're hiring for. So
that's amazing. Awesome. So if you're listening and you're looking for something, we're going to tell you how to reach out to Drew and connect with them and learn more about Harper in a minute. But Drew, if I was able to give you a magic wand, whether it's in marketing or somewhere else in Harper, if I was able to give you a magic wand and you can like wave it over one issue, one challenge you're having right now and just go poof and take it away, that could possibly keep you from achieving your goals, what would that be and why?
Oh, it's a great question. I would say if I could have, we have very happy customers. I would say, and for the marketers listening on this call, I think this will probably resonate with them, but it is always a challenge to go back to a customer and be like, hey, can you write a case study? Can I quote you in this thing or that thing? Because, again, you don't want to like step on any toes. You don't want to, potentially interfere with any sort of ongoing upsell opportunities and things like that. You don't know if burning the capital on something is worthwhile. But I would say, like, if I could have a review and an honest review, I'm not even saying like they all give, I think they would all give 5 stars, but just a review from every single user. I mean, that would be incredible. And I'd say like that is a place where we spend a lot of time trying to think through, what is the best format for those reviews? What is the best place for those to go? Is it case study use case? Is it just, a logo on the website? Is it something else, on like a Trustpilot or a G2 crowd? And again, I think a lot of the marketers listening would say that, you burn that match one time. And so knowing what the correct platform and knowing what the correct place for all of that to live. And in many cases, it's probably going to be, you try to get it across all of them and you see what works the best. Like that would be something that would be really helpful because again, it's an area where you just have to work really hard to kind of keep that engine moving. There's not necessarily like a momentum piece. Certainly, if you have you know, like a Slack type of platform where, okay, like I'm on there, I can drop a pop up and somebody's going to go in and say like, yeah, Slack's great, 5 stars, whatever. But for infrastructure, for this technology, like because it's so technical, it needs to be that layer deeper and you need to speak to specific problems. And so that creates a wrinkle that a magic wand would be a nice addition.
If I create one, I'll send
Yeah.
it to you.
So you let me know. You let me know, Heidi, when you get that.
Well, so last question for you before we get to how people can connect with you, Drew. If we could revisit this conversation, bring you back in 12 months, bring you back in a year, what does success look like for you and for Harper?
Yeah, I mean it's fairly, I think fairly boring, but it's, we have aggressive growth numbers. So it's hitting our growth numbers. It's, smashing sort of the MQLs and the leads that we're generating on the marketing side. It's, for me, I think it's seeing people on various platforms. So, LinkedIn, X, Blue Sky, whatever it is, saying that they're building on Harper, that they're doing something really interesting. GitHub, Stack Overflow, those sorts of places. I think seeing that on a really frequent basis would be very exciting and would sort of continue and signal the momentum that we're looking for. We actually got in the past week or so, we had somebody that built something that was not at all what Harper was originally intended for, but they built it and they wrote a blog piece and they were showing it to the world. And it was really, really cool. And that to us is like, it starts to show people within the company and outside, like, oh, this is a thing that people are starting to use and talk about it, and it's taking on a life of its own. And that's really exciting. That's where we see this thing going. So,
yeah. So cool. So awesome. So now, how do people connect with you, Drew? How can we reach you and how can they learn more about Harper?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously our website's a great starting point, which is, so it's harpersystems.dev, so DEV, but certainly you can email me as well and we can drop my email in, but it's simple. It's Drew at harperdb.io. We haven't changed our emails yet from the old nomenclature. But yeah, I think like the website's a great starting point. Certainly you can Google Harper and see all the really interesting stuff we put together. We're very active on LinkedIn and Blue Sky and X as well. So follow us along there as we release new pieces of content. And then we're going to be starting a YouTube series here in the next month.
Nice.
Where we build on the platform. You can follow those videos and ask questions and stuff there as well. And then lastly, I should say, we do have a Slack community, which you can join and navigate to from our newsletter or from the website itself.
Okay, perfect. So make sure that you go check out Drew, go follow him. We have all of his links inside of the show notes, and you can go to harpersystems.dev. That's V as in Victor, so .dev. And again, to go to the show notes, we'll have all of his contact information everywhere there, but just search for them on the LinkedIn. You'll find them there. And yeah, go check them out on YouTube, because by the time this comes out, I'm sure it's already going to be launched. Yeah. So that's exciting. So congratulations on the new platform, Kevin. And if you're watching Drew and I on YouTube, speaking of it, thank you for being here. Drop a comment below, let them know that you heard them here, and also hit that subscribe button because that lets us share when we have amazing guests like Drew on here sharing, coming and spending their time with you to share what's working for them, what's not working for them, about their business and how they're growing. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, or anywhere else, and you can hit the review button, we'd love it, especially 5 stars. That also helps the platform push us out to more people so more people can listen to Drew, learn about Harper, and also learn about the things that they've been doing to grow their business. They've been here 8 years. They're doing something right, right? So we want to make sure more CEOs, founders, more companies are learning from our amazing guests. If you know somebody that could be supported by Harper, please share this episode and let them know about Drew and Harper so that they can support more companies as well with what their product and services. And I promised y'all a gift, so I'm going to give that to you right now. If you're looking to grow your visibility, Drew shared some amazing things that they're doing in order to get out there, and you feel like you're just not getting the traction that you want, then go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. Drew, is there anything that you'd like to share before I let you go that we didn't talk about? I didn't ask you today.
No, this was wonderful. Really appreciate the time, Heidi, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for listening. Make sure you connect with Drew. It's Drew Chambers, and you can go to harpersystems.dev to learn more about Harper itself. So thank you all for listening to us today. Thank you, Drew, for being here. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.